Hi guys, I am so glad you're here with me today. Let me introduce myself. I am Cadillac Dixon, the Draw My Life prison wife. I am the legally blind artist, rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before it all fades to black. Yes, it's your girl Cadillac. So I'm so glad that you could be here with me tonight. I have a new video that I am putting out for you guys. Trying to get more into that prison wife life. So tonight's video, I'm going back down memory lane. Like, it's a lot of memories because I am the OG prison wife. Been a prison wife for 20 years. 20 years, girl. 20 years. Like, that's a long time. 2 decades. Like, for real. Like, your girl went completely from 20 to 40 and still a prison wife. So I know that life. Like, for real, I'm the OG prison wife. So tonight's video is actually going to be about when your man goes from, because I'm doing this video because I went crazy when this happened to me. Excuse me. I went crazy when it happened to me. Well, to us. I didn't know what to expect. I lost so much sleep because this is a whole different ball game. Okay, so tonight's video is when your husband goes from, or your boyfriend, husband, whatever, your loved one goes from regular security, which could be minimum or medium, to maximum security. Baby, that is like somebody just flipped that switch. That is when you have been in a relationship and your husband has been on any of the other security levels. When he goes to max, it is a whole different ball game. So I'm just here to give you 10 things that I learned when he went from, like, to try to make that transition a little bit easier, because it is quite confusing. It was confusing for me. And girl, you might be still confused after you watch this video. So I don't know. But your girl here just trying to help you out. So I wrote down 10 things that our family actually went through when my husband, Marcello, he is wrongfully convicted, but yet he is, incarcerated in the state of Florida, has a 40-year prison sentence that I fight every day. Like, girl. So let's get into the list. All right. So when your man goes from any other lower security, let's just say lower security, to maximum security, that would be better, because there's like 2 other securities. So for me to not have to keep repeating that, let's just say from a lower security to maximum security. Okay, so number 1, when your man goes from lower security to maximum security, this is quite different from regular medium. Hold on a second. I can't even read my own handwriting, girl. Medium and minimum security custodies at the prisons that house them. And you are going to have to allow your man time to adjust. Okay, so it would be better if I could read more fluently. But those are some of the things I actually edit. Like, I would have cut out them pauses, but girl, we ain't editing no more right now. But what I'm trying to say is that when your man moves from those lower securities to maximum securities, there is going to be such a big change with him. So you're going to have to give him time to adjust to it, because it is no longer the same. This is a whole different ball game. This is going from being like able to, maybe they have to lock down for count or whatever, and then he's like free. He can call you whenever he wants to and stuff like that. But I will get into those issues a little bit later. But now it's like he's not going to be able to do those things. He's going to spend most of his time in that cell. And it is usually a one-man cell on maximum, if I'm not mistaken. He's in a one-man cell. And this is going to be different if your husband was in an open bay I don't know if they call it population, but I don't know if they call that a dorm when it's like big like that and open. And what open bay is where there's just bunks, like lines of bunks. And that's, I think you kind of see that on the movies or whatever. And it's a bunch of guys that's in this one room and they have the bunks lined up. That's an open bay. If he's going from a situation like that, or maybe a 2-man cell to maximum, now this is usually just one person and you're locked in that cell like majority of the time. Like I believe that's when they refer to the 23-and-1, because 23 hours or most of the darn hours in a day, you're locked in your cell. So it's going to be a big adjustment for him. He could be used to coming out to the day room, watching TV, going to commissary. He could be used to whatever he does within that time. Maybe he goes to classes. Maybe he does, I don't know, like when he's calling you all willy-nilly, he's getting on the phone. He getting in the phone line. He going to the whatever. Those things are going to cease. So he's going to go from one extreme to another. So you have to be very mindful that he's going through a big change. It's like the prison of prisons. Like he's going from one thing to another. So please be mindful that he may not be in the same mind space that he usually is, because that is a big adjustment. So let's move on to number 2, because a lot of that, I do come back with the other things and fill in the blanks with that number 1. So that is a big adjustment. So number 2, this will be a test of your relationship going from one extreme to another. So that kind of piggybacks off of that and gets in deeper, like with the relationship, like how are the ways that we as prison wives maintain our relationships? Girl, mostly number 1 is usually through phone calls. We talk all day, like we trying to be booed up, girl. Like we trying to talk to our mans on them phones. And it's like when he goes from regular lower securities to maximum security, now the phone calls, baby, they not like that. But I get there in a little bit. But you ain't finna be booed up. No, booed up situations are over. Like, ain't no riding out on the phone like, girl, what you got on? Oh, what kind of, what color, what you wearing? And no, ain't none of that, because you don't have the time for that, because you don't have that where he can call you back. And he could, like right now, I just talked to Marcello and he's like, okay, I'm going to get back in line. I'm going to try to call you back within like an hour or so. Like, that's not going to happen when he is in that maximum. I'll get to that. I'm so sorry. I keep touching on that, but it's not the same. So most of your booed upness is finna come from writing. And I got carpal tunnel, girl. When it gets down to that writing, oh my gosh. He used to get them little letters because I wanted to be cute and stuff and write like the Aaliyah 4-page letters. Like, girl, yes, you want to write your man them long, deep love letters. But baby, once I get like 2 paragraphs in, I'm telling you, my hand going numb. I got to shake my hand out. So, but I try my best because I know he's locked down now. So that's what he's really going to look forward to. Them letters, them long, dramatic, long, passionate letters, girl. So get your right on. Get your right on. Do them little hand stretches like this. Like, oh, that's my carpal tunnel stretches. Let's get that on. Let's do that. Because you're going to be writing them letters. Because, baby, them phone calls right now is kind of off the, But you can get cute, like get some little, maybe you can get some little colored envelopes or something. But you got to make sure that those are acceptable. Maybe you can draw him some little cute little pictures or kissy faces, or I don't know what you can do. Write poems or something like that. Because you're going to have to keep it like interesting, because your letters now are kind of like his only entertainment as well. And it's really the only way that y'all are going to keep in constant communication. Regular old snail mail, what they call it. Okay, so let's go to number 3. There's 3 levels. So know that when your man, see, let me tell you a little bit about how the situation occurred that Marcello ended up in, not really the situation, but how it happened and how it affected us when Marcello went to maximum security. And when I found that out, girl, that rocked my world, like for real. Because like I told you in the last few videos, it was really rough when Marcello first went up the road. But soon he got close to home. He was really super close. I was visiting him with our daughter every weekend. He would help her with homework. They would play cards together. There would be, I mean, we seen him all the time. The phone calls, by him being so close, were only 50 cents. Like, can you imagine, girl, paying 50 cents for a 15-minute call? Paying $1. Do you know how sweet that is? We can get booed up then, like for real. Like I could talk to you a whole hour. Like he would talk to me for an hour. Then he called his little daughter, help her with her homework for an hour. Like it was sweet. But when he went up that road, it was completely different. It went from that and visiting every single weekend. So he was in our lives a lot more. And it felt like he was almost to the point where he was free. It really felt like he was free. But I do remember this one time where when we would visit at Lake, you can literally, because it's not way off in the country during woods, you could literally see the highway, not no boondocksy highway, a regular street highway. And Marcello would look and say, dang, like we would stand up where the outside pavilions were. And he was like, it looks so close to freedom. Like I'm right there. Like I can extend my arm and like I can almost touch it. Like I can almost touch my freedom. But I can't quite get, it's right there, but I can't have it. Like it's right there in front of me. Never been that close to town or whatever. So you go from that to he ended up, like, if I don't hear from Marcello every single day in life, I know something's wrong. Usually no more than 2 days. It could be just a mishap that's happening in the prison and everything will be cool. So I give myself 1 day to not panic. After 2 days, baby, I kind of know something in my heart. I know something is quite not right. He could be locked down. He could be in confinement, something. I mean, the whole prison could be locked down or he could be in confinement. We don't know, but I know something is wrong at that point if I don't hear from him every single day. But I do give that little cool off period to not freak out. So I hadn't heard from him. It was a while. And then all of a sudden, I got a call and it had the prison's name on it. And they told me, they answered the phone and they're like, Miss Dixon? And I'm like, yes. And they're like, are you on Jackson's visitation list? And I'm like, my heart stopped. It freaking stop. And this was right before our daughter's 16th birthday. So when Marcello came back to town, I think our daughter was about 10 going on 11. No, dang. 2011. Really, I think she might have been 9 going on 10. Somewhere around there. I think she was closer to 10. Yeah, because when she did turn, I believe when she turned 10, the guard, she had this nice, beautiful birthday party at the visitation with her dad. They made the little ice cream cake. Everything was cool. And the guard was like, oh, it's your birthday. And she was like, yeah. And he was like, happy birthday. How old do you turn? And she was like 10. And he was like, oh, so you can't come back and see your dad. And she's like, huh? Like, what? And he's like, yeah, now you have to fill out a whole nother visitation form. Like, at that age, they have to fill out their own form. Up until that period, they actually just can visit under you. But when they turn that age, so she had to go through the whole process of being approved and stuff on her own, which meant it was her birthday, but then she couldn't see her dad for like a couple of months right after that, which kind of bummed him out. But that's a way to break it to her, right? So it was her birthday, and she always, that girl is spoiled. That is I call her my Sour Patch. Like, she go from, oh, cute, like gummy bear like, to like, for real, girl. So she always, did her thing. I'll rent a hotel. I did the most for her because she was my only child. And, a lot of it, I have one video I will link in the description about how the parenting of a child with an incarcerated parent, how it really, how it is and how it affects the other parent. Because I started feeling like a lot of the anger she felt towards him, she would just give it to me because she couldn't release it to him. So it would release to me. So I do got that video in the description box. But she every year wanted to plan to see her dad. So her dad had got sent away because there was this in between the little going from the very, very, very close facility to the further away facility. It was where they was trying to get people out of there. Like, it was too many people visiting. It was too much going on. It was a mess. The rules were all over the place. It was so chaotic. It was too much going on. So they had this little thing where they just shipped out a whole bunch of people. So Marcello got shipped out from there, but he still had a good adjustment transfer. So they shipped him back up north, but I think he was 3 hours away. He was 3 hours away, but he's back off in the country, back North Florida. But I'm like, it's okay that, he can transfer back home. But they were taking so long. They were taking the longest to transfer him. And at that camp that he was at, that was when I told the little story about Marcello has vitiligo. He developed that while incarcerated. And I was kind of concerned about him being out in the sun because he no longer has his melanin to, protect him. So I'm like, maybe he needs sunscreen because his spots would get like super red and stuff like that. And when he goes outside. So I'm like, maybe he needs sunscreen. And I was trying to talk to his classification about how the nurse could possibly get him sunscreen and this and that to go out and work, or if he needed a hat or whatever he needed for his protection from the sun. And Marcello said, don't worry about it. I'm never going back to work again. And I'm like, why? Like, what happened? You were happy about going to work because they were working out in the field and stuff like that. And he was like, that guard told me he don't want any people like us working for him. And that was so heartbreaking. It's like, what? He's just here trying to do his freaking time. Like, oh my gosh. The things we have to deal with. Like, and that's uncontrollable. Could we have, any of us, decided, hey, I would like to not be born black? Like, none of that is in our control. Not that I would want to be anything but black, but that is something you're born. How can you hate somebody for what they are born? That kills me. That freaking kills me. But that guard didn't want people like us working for him. And he didn't want, basically later mentioned, he didn't even want them at that camp. He wanted them out. So this whole, fast forward later, a riot happened. And after that, Marcello was shipped out of there and headed to maximum security. Our daughter, it was her birthday, so we were supposed to go up there 3 hours away, rent a hotel, have our weekend. She's turning 16. I took her to Busch Gardens. They had this little water park there. We enjoyed the evening there. And that is when we were just about to go up the road. I think the next day or the day after that, when I get that phone call. Miss Dixon, are you the wife, or no, they don't call me wife. They call me friend or girlfriend of Jackson? And I'm like, yes. But that call, when you receive a call like that, girl, my heart dropped, because I'm like, I'm thinking it's a crazy type call. And they're like, don't worry about visiting this weekend. And I'm like, what happened? And they're like, well, he's in confinement and he's going to be shipped off. And that's when I found out later through letters that they're sending him to maximum security. And I'm like, girl, what is maximum security? But before that, they said they were going to have a hearing because Marcello was disputing what they said. So I was trying to fight it. I was trying to get a lawyer to actually be present for that hearing. I was asking for cameras, which you can't quite get the cameras, because I'm like, if you can get the cameras, that will prove what really happened. And it just led to nothing. It was no sleep. It was no nothing. It was just stress on top of stress on top of stress. And I was crying out for certain family members of his to help me. Like, please, if you've never lifted a finger to help me, I need your help now. We cannot... We cannot allow Marcello to be sent up that road, back up that road. And unfortunately, it was just me and his daughter that stayed up all night trying to write letters to I think it was the head of the prisons or whatever, his side, Marcello's side. I was calling all that week, trying to get in touch with somebody. They barely answer the phones. Then you have to email. I can't email. I have carpal tunnel. It takes forever, but still trying to do it. And then when I finally got the letter that I wrote, long time it took me. Oh gosh, it took me forever. Sorry guys, it took me forever to actually write that letter. And once I finally got it done, it was like Marcello's hearing was that morning. So I was trying to find a 24-hour Kinko's to go fax this letter. And I finally got the letter in, but it's like nothing did anything. They ended up finding him guilty as usual. And they sent him to maximum security. And I felt in my heart right then, if you let him go up there, you won't be able to get him back. And since then, I'm telling you, he's only been transferred further and further away from the house. Now he's almost 7 hours away. He's almost 7 hours away. Not quite, but almost. And that's the furthest he's ever been. And on top of that, they denied my visit, so I can't even see him no way, no matter how far he is. So I knew the best thing was to never let him get transferred. Like, you have to fight for your loved ones. Nobody else is going to fight for them. Number one, they don't have a big chance against, when they accuse them of something, there's not a big chance for them. So you got to fight for them, because just them fighting a lot of times don't even help the situation. But I know for me, because they just consider me his baby mama, because we weren't actually like married on paper. So they just consider me his friend, his baby mama, his girlfriend. But there were other people that are true family members that can actually get that work done. And I've been pleading out for them to please help me get this man home. Oh, I'm so sorry for that anger. But I knew the minute we let him go back up that road, it was going to be hard to get him back. So that was the feeling. So it was a scary feeling. So I know for you, if this is happening, it's scary for you. That's why I'm trying to put this list together to, let you know like how things are. So there are the 3 levels. You have the level 1. Level 1 where he started in maximum security. Really, when he first went to max, there was no phone calls. There was no visitation for a few months. I don't even know how long. It could have been 4 to 5 months. That whole first level, I believe. And on the first level, if I'm not mistaken, I think I got one phone call that they allowed him to make one time and speak to him, where he notified me that he was in maximum or whatever. And nobody knew nothing. He didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what was going on. And we were out. Me and our daughter were out having fun. It's this place called Old Town here in Kissimmee. And we were having a good time. Like, that's how I would deal with this prison sentence. Like, go out and have fun with my daughter and just live it up, because other than that, we were depressed. So we were out having fun. And that's when I received this one call, and it was so depressing. It just completely changed the whole mood of that. And thinking back. So it was really no communication for like 5 to 6 months. It was a while. So then they moved down to level 2. They go through a process whether they approve them or not. Sometimes they'll say, no, he needs to do so many more months on level 1 before he moves to level 2. So they moved him straight to level 2. He had no problems. Level 2, I believe we started having. He was able to get visitation at that point. And he started having one phone call a month, I believe. I believe it was, no, you could have one visitation a month. One visitation a month, and it was 2 phone calls. One every week. Not every week. Every 2 weeks. So every other week. One phone call. If I had to work, then I was at work, I missed that phone call, and that was it. So that was really tough, because at that time I was going to work like maybe from 7 in the evening to 4 a.m. And that would be around the time sometimes that he gets that phone. So if I missed that call, it would be 2 more weeks before he can probably call again. It was that one visitation. Now, this is the thing. I'm so sorry. Excuse me, guys. I won't get too far in that, because I do have visitation under another, dang it, how did I do that? I kind of mixed them all together. The visitation, the phone calls, all of that is kind of mixed into 3 levels. So on that, number 1 is pretty much nothing. Level 2, you're going to get that 2 phone calls and 1 visitation. And then level 3, when you move down to that, they actually, when it was time for him to get approved for level 3, they said, no, you're going to do level 2 again. And it really wasn't for a reason, because he did really good. And he thought that he was going to move quickly down. But they were like, no, because you moved so fast from level 1 to 2, we're going to hold you on 2 for a little longer. That was their reasoning. So that becomes where you can visit twice a month, and then you get 2 phone calls. So that's it. That's all your communication outside of writing. Crazy. It's different, right? That is completely different. So then we get into, because I went a little too far, that the phone calls are different. That's how I was explaining. It's not that phone call where they can go out to the phone and call you when they want to. The phone is passed around. Like, they give one person the phone, then it's passed to the next person, then the next person. And like I was explaining, you missed the call, then baby, you missed the call. That's how it is there. The visitations as well. So phone calls are going to be number 5. Number 6 is going to be the visitations. Visitations are different. Now, on level 1, you did not visit. Level 2, they visited on Thursdays. A freaking Thursday? Who visits on freaking Thursday? Like, we usually visited on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. My day off all the time was Sunday. I wouldn't take a job if they didn't approve me to be off on Sunday to go see Marcello. I wouldn't even work the job. So all of a sudden, it's Thursdays that you go to visitation. While Marcello was in Max, I was in college. Like, I had assignments due. I was taking classes. Sometimes I went to class that Wednesday night. He wasn't around the corner. He was about 3 hours. No, it moved to 4 hours away. He moved to 4 hours away at that maximum security. So I'm like, my goodness, it gets no freaking better. So I would drive from, I think it was about 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So I would get off the school that evening. Then I worked overnight. Then I would have to get on the highway that morning, drive 4 hours for a 2-hour visit. Now, that is the difference. Visitations were only 2 hours, not all day, not from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. like the regular visits. Or was it 2 p.m.? Oh, it's been so long, I can't remember. I think it was 8 to 3. But no longer was it like that. It was only 2 hours. So you drive 4 hours for that 2-hour visit. Still, they can play over your time. But once you go in the room and start your visitation, that's when your time starts, right there. And now you can have, there were 3 slots. It was the morning, it was like a mid, and it was the last one. Now, the last one was the bad one because count can interfere with it. And if there aren't 2 hours left, too bad, so sad. You get whatever time. So if you get in and the facility is about to close the visitation area, though you have a 2-hour visit, you don't get to visit for 2 hours. That was different. And then dealing with regular weekday traffic, trying to get home, it was so incredibly hard to get home from way up the road. And a lot of times I had to return back to work within hours. So it was no sleep. It was crazy. But, and the biggest difference, they're behind a glass. Back to visiting behind that thick glass. How did we get back to this? The last